Welcome to productbook.club. It's a not-for-profit initiative where we are just having fun, hanging out, reviewing books together and understanding what works, what doesn't work, and just figuring out what books work, essentially for product book lovers like you and me. Right. And this is actually our 11th book. I'm super excited that 11 weeks consistently, there have been reviews showing up. And there have been some people who have been also consistently showing up. So kudos if you've been able to actually pull off multiple book reviews. That's a big damn feat. So congrats on that. You can check out our previous product book club reviews on book club on YouTube or anywhere on the online. It's also known as productbook.club. This week's book is Business Model Generation, and we have our reviewers here who have gone through 2 weeks of rigorous understanding of the book, and they will present to you the 10 big ideas. Before we go that, I also want you to know that we have mapped out for 1 full year. So 11 minus 52, that many book weeks that are left. And you can look forward to the next books. You can look up all this information on productbook.club. So what happens in this 10 big ideas? We're going to distill them under 30 minutes. I hope we don't run over beyond 30 minutes, but the team has done their best to put down all their ideas. And the best way is to actually listen to them. You could pick up the book after you listen to this because it has given you a basic overview. But my personal experience, and this is one of my personal favorite books, Business Model Generation. If you're a product maker of some capacity in a big org, a small org, these basics are super important for you. So go through this review. And if you feel that, hey, I have to go deeper, pick up the book and imbibe those lessons into your daily life. Now over to you, sprinters. Have a good sprint. I'm looking forward to hearing all the amazing concepts you have come up with. Over to you.
Thank you, Madhuri. Give me 1 second and I'll share my screen. Begin. Okay. So business model generation. These are this week's review team, Ananya, Rohit, Madhumita, and Shruti. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So in next 3 minutes, we will tell you about something which will really help you if you are any of these things. If you are a product manager, entrepreneur, decision maker, user researcher, and even if you are a banker, if you have read the book, you would know the book is filled with examples where these ideas have been used for a bank. So it doesn't matter who you are and what you do, you can use today's session to your benefit. Few questions before we begin. Do you have an entrepreneurial spirit? Are you constantly thinking about how to create value and build new businesses? Are you constantly thinking about how to improve or transform your organization? And are you trying to find innovative ways to doing business to replace old and outdated ideas, outdated businesses? If your answer is yes for any of those questions, you are at the right spot. So if you haven't read the book, sit through the next few minutes and we will walk you through the 10 most important ideas of the book. If you have not read the book, Business Model Generation will help you create a framework or a way to assess, rework, and evolve your business model, or check your existing business model. So what is a business model? A business model is a rationale which allows you to create value, deliver value, and capture value. If a model does any of these things for your business or your product, welcome, you have a business model. So the very first idea, what exactly is a business model? And the 9 building blocks of business model canvas. So this is how a business model canvas looks like. You have 9 different boxes here, and we will go through each of them separately now. So the very first one, customer, on the top right section. So customers could be a mass customer or a niche. It could be segmented customer for an organization, diversified customers, or multi-sided customers. The next building block is the value proposition. How exactly do you create value for your customers? So everything revolves around the customer, but the value that you're bringing to them. So that's the value proposition. So if you have a customer profile, you know what are the pains, gains, and the job that they need to do. And with your value map, what are your pain relievers, gain creators, and how exactly your products and services will create that value. That is the value proposition that you create for your customers. And the third one, channel. So how exactly you bring your products and services to your customer? It could be your own channels, it could be your partner channels, or it could be direct, such as Salesforce or web sales, or it could be indirect models of channels. So if you have channels, how exactly you get a customer through your channels? So first is awareness of the channel for the customer. And then the customers evaluate those channels, then they do the purchase. And then you as a business creator do the delivery. It could be delivery of a product or delivery of a services, and then you do after sales services through your channels. The fourth one, customer relationship. So customer relationship categories could be either if you're giving a personal service or a dedicated personal assistance or self-service, automated services, or you create communities such as Facebook groups, or you co-create a product or a service along with the customer himself or herself. Revenue. So how do we generate revenue? Either we create an asset or we ask for a usage fee, or there could be a subscription fee, a lending fee, a rent or a lease, or you license a product or a service, or you charge a brokerage fee, or you do advertising. So these are the 7 ways you generate revenues for your business. And there are different ways you market your products and services. You could either go fixed menu pricing, or you could go for dynamic pricing. In fixed, you have list pricing, product feature development, customer segment, volume, and in dynamic, you have negotiations, yield management, real-time market pricing, or auctions. Next are the key resources. So what exactly are the resources that drive your business? So the resources could be physical, such as a factory or machinery, or it could be intellectual, such as a software or IP rights, or it could be human in case you have a consulting service. So that's your resource. And in case of financial, such as banks. So financial resources are also a type of resources. Then what are the key activities that you do that would create value for your customers through the customer relationship using the channels? So resources could be production, problem solving, or platform, or a network. And what are your partners? So who exactly do you work with to create value, to generate your revenue for your customers? So partnership motivators could be either optimization and economy of scale, reduction of risk, or acquisition of something particular, or doing some activity. Those could be partnerships as well. Then if you're running any kind of business, then you must have some costs. What could be these different classes of cost for any business? So you have to look through that as well. So classes could be cost-driven values and services, value-driven values and services, fixed cost, variable cost. You may have economies of scale where you generate a lot of products and services, and that brings down the price or the cost. And you may have economies of scope in terms of how many customer segments you are targeting or affecting. So this is how a business model canvas looks like. It generally fits on an A4 sheet. We will go through a quick example of IKEA to see how exactly a business model canvas works. So very first item, a customer segment. So in case of IKEA, who are IKEA's customers? So if you know, IKEA is a furniture brand which started from Scandinavia, and then right now you have 3 IKEA stores in India, and IKEA is everywhere in the world. So who exactly are IKEA's customers? So IKEA doesn't target everyone. It targets young middle-class people, someone who's starting a new family, who need decent quality furniture, which is not too expensive. So next one, value proposition. How exactly do you create value for young people, new families? So you give them ready to assemble furniture. The focus is on renewable material, as this is what young people are focusing these days. And then channels. How exactly customers of IKEA get these furniture? So you may have physical stores, you have warehouses, and now you have a website and an app where you can buy IKEA's furniture. Then the customer relationship. IKEA focuses a lot on customer relationship. Within the first 100 days, you can return your furniture, no questions asked. If you don't open your boxes, as you can see the picture, there is a 365-day or a 1-year return policy. They would go out of extraordinary lengths to please the customers, and that's how they build those relationships, and they make the customers come back to IKEA again and again and again. And what are the revenue streams? So they generate revenue through furniture sale. It could be retail or the wholesale. IKEA also has a restaurant within those stores. If you have been to any of those stores, you would see that also generates some revenue for IKEA. Now, what are the key resources for IKEA? As a furniture seller, IKEA has a very big supply chain, and IKEA's brand is a key resource. People go to IKEA because everyone knows, and then you have IKEA stores. Those are the key resources IKEA focuses on to build its business. Now, key activities. What exactly IKEA does? What are the things IKEA is involved in that creates those value for its customers? So IKEA focuses a lot on designing its furniture. So IKEA furnitures are not like any other furniture that you see. They may look similar, but they are different in terms of what exactly goes into the furniture, how exactly you can assemble, and how do they look. There are different color combinations, and they are aesthetically pleasing and very comfortable. So a lot of research goes into designing those furnitures, and that is one of the key activity. And then selling the furniture in the stores is also one of the key activities that IKEA personnel are involved in. Now, if you look at the key partners of IKEA, key partners could be designers in-house or external designers, manufacturers. IKEA doesn't manufacture everything on its own, and then the delivery companies who get those furnitures from manufacturers to IKEA stores or warehouses. So what could be the cost structure? So where exactly IKEA spends its money? IKEA spends its money in manufacturing its furniture, then distribution and upkeep of its store, and then paying a salary to its staff. These are the three big cost drivers for IKEA. So now we have gone through each of the building block of IKEA, and that creates the business model canvas. So we see where exactly everyone fits in, what drives IKEA in terms of its value, activities, cost, and revenue. You can adjust or change one of the segments and then go through the exercise again in the given order to figure out how exactly the current business is working, or if you want to improve, change, or remodel your business. So how exactly a business model canvas is used? So we know a business model canvas and we know the 9 building blocks, but how do we use it? It's very simple. Get a big canvas, put it on a poster, put the poster on the wall, and sketch out your business model. So you start with a blank canvas and you use sticky notes to fill up different blocks. This is how it should look. You do not write on the canvas, you write on the business canvas itself, business model canvas itself. You use sticky notes so that ideas could be changed. It also allows more than one person to work on the business model canvas, and different members of the team can voice their opinion democratically. And you go through the brainstorming to see how exactly it fits. If something doesn't make sense, it should, and the process is very simple, quick, and it could be done anytime with any team. We know that a human brain, the left side brain has a focus on logic, and right side brain has a focus on emotion. So this is something we use on the business model canvas. The right side of the business model canvas focuses on value, and left side focuses on efficiency. Now, efficiency and value, they go hand in hand with each other. You create value using those efficiencies. You cannot you cannot be inefficient and create value. And if you are efficient, then you will create value. One goes hand in hand with the other one. The third big idea, how do you unbundle business model? So when businesses become very big, you have, they get bundled. So the idea is that you look at unbundling, which means, let's say you have a very big business where core businesses for different parts of that organization is done together. So that's a bundled business. Unbundling means a separate entity works separately. So that's how you unbundle. So these individual entities within an organization, they are unbundled. They do not depend on each other. They do not fight with each other for resources. And that's how you unbundle them. And so that all unbundled parts of the same business can grow independently. For example, if you look at Amazon, Amazon is a huge organization. And when you unbundle, there could be only three types of businesses: customer relationships, product innovations, and infrastructure. So what Amazon has done, Amazon has divided its business. So delivery part is focusing only on customer relationship. The Kindle business focuses on product innovation, and the infrastructure business is what AWS focuses on. They all have their different business model. They all work, they all use different resources, different cost structure, different value proposition, and they many times they also have different customer segments, most definitely when it comes to AWS and retail. And that's how they have Amazon has unbundled its business to let it grow. So we will quickly look at some business models. One of them is the long tail business model, where you sell a large number of niche products. However, each of these niche products are sold infrequently. So this is how it should look. Anything comes to your mind? Let's see. eBay. So many times I look for something, I can't find it on Amazon, I go to eBay. eBay has a huge number of products that it sells. The products are not large in number individually, but you can find them. So that's a very good example of a long tail business model. We also have some free business models. So for example, Freemium for Skype, you use a part of the business or services freely, and then you subscribe and upgrade to premium to use all the services. Spotify is also one of the freemium business models. Then you have bait and hook. So if you look at Gillette, the razor itself is not costly, not as costly, but each of those blades, they are super expensive. Similarly, if you look at any of the printing companies, printers are relatively cheaper, but companies make huge margin on the ink cartridges. So that's another bait and hook model. Then advertising business model, where advertisers pay money and generate revenue, where users and creators, they use the model, but they do not pay anything. YouTube is an example. Google is an example, where web pages are used by viewers. All the creators, they also do not pay anything, but advertisers, they pay money to Google and generate revenue. And then we have the open business model, where companies use ideas from outside partners to create and capture value. So you have an existing company, you work with external technology base along with your internal technology, and then you use that to serve your existing market and customers. Over to you, Shruti.
Yeah, so I would want to talk about implementing business models, because implementation is the main part. Once we are done in strategizing and designing the business model, everything boils down to implementation. Can we proceed, Rohit? So taking these examples, one would be closed innovation business model, and one would be open. So coming to closed innovation models are basically they're basically companies where they focus on their internal capabilities, right from idea generation up to the product launch, and they have a lot of subject matter experts, and it's a it's mostly they look at patented products, and it's an internal, everything is an internal ecosystem. Apple is the biggest example, we all know that. Coming to open, so in open model, these companies are more open to figure to partnering with smaller companies and building joint ventures, mergers. So from experience, the agricultural business, chemical business, your energy products business. These are all these mostly they're mostly MSMEs or companies operating since a very long time, and they proceed further through joint ventures. For example, one would be Dow. Dow around 6 years back, Dow merged with DuPont in the chemical space. Then the one that you all can see below, it's a layout of the RPG group. RPG group has acquired and built similar companies. So these are basically the open innovation models. Can we proceed, Rohit? Yeah. So another main innovation model would be outside in versus inside out. So see, we all know innovation sounds really good and it's the need of the hour, and we need digital transformation, and we need to kind of make companies more approachable, more into the tech space. But coming to the ground reality, how much of is it true? How much of it is true? We face, day in and day out, there is resistance, there are people issues, there are ego issues, there are there is a lot of resistance that especially the younger generation faces. There are mostly and most likely these again, the industries I mentioned, it comes from there. So innovation, it's easier said than done. It's not a very it's not something that everyone is open to. It throws you out of your comfort zone. So a lot of these challenges exist. So let us probe into that further. Yeah. So as Rohit mentioned in his previous slides, we have something called open innovate or open business model. So there would be an outside in and inside out. So basically, open business models are companies open to outside collaboration and looking. They are open to sharing data, sharing information, and they're looking at a larger picture from that angle. So outside in is basically getting consultants, expertise from outside, and then building a new business model altogether by collaborating it with your own capabilities. And inside out, as you all can very easily guess, it's the other way around, taking your own capabilities, bringing it outside, and making a new business model out of it. So these are the few companies that are very open to these business models. They are Lego, Toyota, and Google.
Hey, thanks, Ananya.
Over to you, Madhumita.
Yeah, thank you, Ananya. So now that we know what our business model is and the type of business model, now how are we going to design our business models, right? So let's use some design tools to design our business model. I will walk you through 6 design tools using which we can build our business model. First technique I want to talk about, right, is customer insight. So this is nothing but viewing your business model through customer perspective. Okay. So this is, as you see, is the Airbnb when it was initially launched in 2008. Okay. So at that time, what the founders of the Airbnb did, they visited each and every host to get the customer insights, actually, how to build their business Airbnb, what is the problem they are facing. So one of the key insight they got from all those interactions with the host, right, is they got many, but one thing I want to highlight here is their difficulty in getting an attractive photo of their property, right? As we know, currently in Airbnb, how each and every property is so looking so attractive. That is one of their killing seller point, actually. So it was not like that before, but because of the insight they generated, right, how the hosts were not able to get that sort of image of their property. So that was identified with the customer interaction and their insight they generated there. So which led to the adding one key component in their business model, right? Partnering with a freelance photographer. So next, so which led to some amazing sites, right? And the Airbnb we look now is so enticing compared to how it was before. So that is the result of all the customer insight they generated during the early days. So then that is one. Next technique is ideation. So ideation is allowing yourself and your team to come up with as many ideas as possible. The part one. The part two is from all those ideas, we need to differentiate the crude ones and the best ones. So Ideation is two-part, generation as well as the filtering technique. So that is a second technique, ideation. So moving to the third technique. Okay. Now, from all the customer insights and the market research we have done, we have all the facts and figures with us, right? So it is all there in numerous documents and all in our head, right? So now, if at all we present this to anyone, so it when we present this to anyone, it is like they will not be able to recollect or relate to that. That is a problem with presenting the facts and figures, right? So what is the remedy for this? Next. So that is where the visual thinking comes in. So through drawings or using post-its, if you are going to present your idea one at a time, it will bring the ideas to life. So next. And then it also helps in co-creation. It will encourage everyone to contribute their part and initiate a dialogue and lead to co-creation. So that is where visual technique helps. Next. So scenarios guided is being laying out all the scenarios in your business environment and being prepared for it. For example, here, if you go to a Shell website, right, they have thought about all the scenarios, even a scenario where they will run out of oil, how their business model should adopt to it. What are the steps they are going to adopt to that status, right, where they run out of oil. So this is what scenario guided is. You lay out possible current scenarios as well as the future scenarios and creating business model to adopt to it. Next. So the next one is prototyping. Prototyping is nothing but being bold enough to come out with a lot of business models, right? So here you can see for one book publishing company, you can create in your with your efforts, you can create 4 different business models, okay? And then from that, you have to identify the most viable ones and then test that. And from the testing, you iterate again. So that is what prototyping technique is about. Next one. So the next technique, right? To talk about next technique is to address the resistance before one. So is to address the resistance we get for any new idea we present. For you present a new business model, it is going to be faced with resistance. So how do you overcome that? Right. Next technique is storytelling. So here, instead of Steve Jobs, instead of bombarding us with a lot of technical specification of iPod, he just put a simple statement like 1,000 songs in your pocket. So that is the story he told us, which enticed us, and we were sold. So that is what storytelling is all about. It is about creating belief in the unfamiliar. This technique you can use it to present any new idea, pitching to investors, or creating belief among your employees, right, or your team. So storytelling is one powerful technique that way. So these are the 6 techniques here. So moving to the next big idea, right? So the business we operate in, we are not alone. We are always being bombarded with external forces like competitors, government rules, customer changes, everything. So we have to adopt the business model with respect to all these changes, right? Next. So broadly, we will come across these terms, key trends, the external forces, your market, macroeconomic, industry forces. Let's see an example to break down to a simple, right? Next one. Okay. So Walt Disney Pictures, who are the makers of our favorite Disney and Marvel movies. So let's break this external this one using this technique. Next, Rohit. So here the key trends. One of the threats they were facing is they were producing movies that will be showcased in theaters, right? So one of the key trends that was happening in the market was there was a excluding usage of mobiles. Next. Uh, then there was a customer preference change where they were moving away, demanding entertainment anytime, anywhere, right? That they were and also any device. They don't want to just restrict to theaters. It can be mobile, TV, or a computer screen, anything. So it was changing customer preferences, and there was a competitive landscape, right? It was not only the traditional movie houses, right? there were a competition from OTT platforms. So this was the the changing landscape for Walt Disney Pictures, which led to this Disney Plus, which is the OTT platform from Disney. Okay, so the value proportion they offered here is great movies anytime, anywhere. And there was mass customization of content, which led to a lot of customer segment which were previously not part of Walt Disney Pictures were also there was a broader customer base for Disney Plus. So analyzing this led to Disney Plus. External forces led to Disney Plus. Next, the next big idea is the previous one we saw was like outside in that external environment influencing our business. Not only that, right? We need to evaluate our strength, also our business internally to adopt to it. Next. So here our favorite SWOT analysis to the rescue. We do that all the time, right? But one thing I find difficult with SWOT analysis is if I have to list the strength, where do I start? That was list the weakness, where do I start? That is one problem I face with SWOT analysis. But with business model canvas, next business model canvas, we have all the components of our business laid in a canvas. So we can apply this SWOT with each of these 9 blocks and identify the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Next. So here, let's take this revenue stream, right? With this one block, you can the weakness can be we are too dependent on one revenue stream. So can we move to a recurring revenue model? That is the opportunity. So you can pose such questions to each of this business model blocks and come up with changes to your business model. So that is all about SWOT and business model. Over to you, Ananya. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madhu. So the next concept is around blue ocean strategy. And there was this book published in 2004 by 2 in-seed professors around blue ocean, red ocean strategy. What exactly that means? So over to the next slide. Can you imagine a circus without animals? So if you would have gone to circus like as a kid, mostly there would be like monkeys, if you were lucky, some lions and a clown. And that is how traditionally circus worked for hundreds of years. But then there was this one group of people who reimagined the whole concept of circus and the business model that goes into it. And they created a circus without animals. Can anyone from the audience guess the name? Okay, we're already in the next slide. So it's basically Cirque du Soleil, originally a French circus group, which actually reinvented the whole idea and created circus with humans. They had elaborate costumes, makeups, dance performance, sets which were almost dreamlike. And then they not just became like one of the most successful circus groups of all time, they also actually inspired a lot of people. And still they are like a profitable circus group. So this is what a blue ocean strategy means, which is thinking how to differentiate while maintaining the cost as well as creating a good value proposition for the customers. So there are 2 oceans. Blue ocean is ideally where the water is more blue. So that means there are less fish in the ocean itself. Whereas the red one means it's just crowded with a lot of fish. And by fish, I mean players. So an industry where there are a lot of players already competing, a lot of organizations already present, it is very hard to actually stand out. So organizations should actually look for a blue ocean, a area where they can actually create a differentiation. They can actually basically increase the values. So one of the main pillars of blue ocean is increasing value while reducing cost. Over to the next slide. As we can see here, it's basically where both of them collide, where the value increases and the cost decreases. The innovation happens, and more organization, as they're creating their business models, are thinking in terms of blue ocean, red ocean. The founders or the introductors to the concept gave a 4-step framework, which is around eliminate, reduce, raise, and create, which translates to how that Cirque du Soleil basically eliminated the extra costs which were associated with, say, the maintenance of animals, keeping them in cage, feeding them, extra came out of circus, which is entertainment to the public, and then creating a niche area out of them. So ultimately, they were profitable also, and they were also well admired in the industry. So now moving to the next framework, it's around how to actually manage multiple business models together. So while smaller companies might have just one business model, usually large orgs have like multiple business model coexisting, and we can call them ambidextrous organizations. So just looking at the factors which are involved in that coexisting, moving to the next slide, it's basically three factors. First is integration, which is how well the two models, and in this case, we can assume A and B to be two models. How well do they integrate with each other? So we can look at the synergies that exist, and that could be as simple as seeing if shared channels could be used, shared resources and activities could be done. So the key activities, key costs, basically, if they are shared, that would just make more sense for the business. Autonomy is the essence of autonomous those two business models or business units are to each other, and how well they function independently. And the last one is separation, which is basically where they do not really have synergies, how to keep them separate. For example, if they have very different cost structures and profit models, how to keep the finances different for both the business units so that it does not create problem. Any person, any organization which is trying to create business models which already has like multiple business models can actually look through the lens of these three factors. And in the next slide, we look at a successful example of a company which did that, which is Nestle. We all are very familiar with Nestle, and one of their most successful products is the Nescafe coffee, which is the instant coffee. They were thinking of the Nespresso, which is essentially a set of machines created for espresso coffee. And as you would have guessed, Nespresso is actually a premium product which is targeted at a niche market who actually like to drink well roasted premium black coffee, which is very different from what they traditionally sell through the Nescafe brand. So, how did they go about it? They actually identified what are the synergies. Synergies is essentially the coffee brand itself, but what basically can stand out. And when they figured out even the channels and customers are different for both the models, they separated both as two different business units, functioned them independently till Nespresso actually became profitable. And it was as unique as they started mailing out the coffee pots to the customers, which is like direct mail. Whereas if you're aware, instant coffee is sold in like small shops, department stores, supermarkets, which is very, very different model. Then right now it's a successful model. They've also introduced cappuccino latte, as you can see in the image. And if you're not really familiar with Nespresso in India, you can see them in like restaurants, probably your office, which is where they've tied up with different, organizations and different businesses to place their products. Nespresso also has their own cafes and outlets in some of the fancier neighborhoods, such as squares at Paris or New York, but not really right now in India. So moving forward to the last concept of the day. Rohit, can you move to the next slide? Yes. So the last is basically if you're thinking of creating a business canvas and if you're creating a business model, it'll be really tough and really unpredictable, when you go through the process. Because at the end of the day, the world is something which is constantly changing, constantly, complicating, and, so how to actually go. And in this, I'm just talking about the mindset and not the process because that's already been covered before. If you move to the next slide, you can basically see if you're thinking about the whole
And
business
then your
model.
voice is going up and down. Could you be a bit louder, please?
Sorry, is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, creators should look at from a design attitude. Design attitude is essentially thinking of it as something which they can reiterate. They can create prototypes, test again and again, and have like a messy process instead of a linear loop which you can see above of generating ideas. So by testing the business models, they can explore different possibilities and the chance of success increases. If you move to the next slide, it clearly shows the design strategy, which is a lot of people working together, creating synergies, using their different skill sets to actually create the business model, and trying out things again and again, which is what the design attitude is all about. I hope you gained few new insights from this book. That's all from the team. Thank you, everyone.